Okay, I gotta hurry. I got my granddaughter in here. She's gonna be quiet for me. Yeah, so I was a part of the whole church building process. I've watched people volunteer in churches, because they had building skills, and so the church would use them, paying $8 an hour, underpay them, and a lot of times they would even be allowed to miss church. And stuff like that, misfunctions and stuff, as long as they was building. It's not necessarily God's work, man. It's just not. So, like I said, I was a part of it, man. I know what I'm talking about. The buildings is not where it's at. I started Soldiers of Christ Rally Point. When I left that organization, I was in Mesa, Arizona, and I didn't have no money. All of my church building bills were paid, but I was getting ready to go to court because I was getting tickets for not having insurance on my vehicle. And I was working on a full-time job while at the same time building a church. When I first got there was 2 people. And then, within about, 2 months, I was running 45 because I worked it. I went out there, I went out every waking moment. I was out there witnessing, knocking on doors. Back in those days, knocking on doors was more acceptable. I did a lot of door knocking and just witnessing, just different things. So anyway, when I left, man, I didn't pay my tithe. So here's what happened. I didn't have no money to pay my tithe for the first time after 16 years. I didn't have no money to pay my tithe. And so I didn't. So every Monday night I had to do a report and give an account of all the money. There was 5 different monies I had to give account for. All the reports had to be done. And one of them was my personal tithe. And so I did not pay my personal tithe first time in 16 years. That was on a Monday, and it was before the week was up almost. It was before the next report. It's been a long time, but it was awfully fast. I got a phone call from the Secretary of Finance. What was the title? The finance. I don't know. The secretary, the dude that does all the finances. The head dude that does all the finances, and it always bothered me the way he talked. He'd be like, brother, hey, how are you? Hello, brother, how are you? I noticed that you didn't pay any tithe in your report. That's exactly how that conversation went. And here I'm getting ready to be put out on the streets. I just, I was always respectful, always respectful. You had to be when you was in that organization. You had to be, man. And so I just said, you're right. I didn't pay no tithe. First time, I didn't pay no tithe, and I'm not going to. And he goes, oh, what? What? So anyhow, long story short, that led into me leaving that organization. They did not care one iota that I was getting ready to be put on the streets. They didn't care one iota that I was having financial problems. They didn't care one iota. Nothing. The organization I was in had a massive building program, real estate buying program, massive, which behind the scenes they was gifting real estate to different people in the family. A lot of times churches are family-ran businesses. I'll leave that one alone because it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a deceitful thing, and it can be something that a lot of church members are unawares. How that discussions behind the scenes are a lot of times, how are we going to take care of the family, blood, the next generation? So here you are out there working on a job, no life savings. You don't own no real estate. You don't own no land. You're giving your money, but you're really setting up the next generation of that pastor and that pastor's wife. Because you look at most church organizations, who takes over? T.D. Jakes, who did he give it to? His daughter. Jimmy Swaggart, who did it go to? His sons. And that's how it is with just about every organization and every church. And so here you are out there working, your butt off, and giving everything that you can to the church, but you're financing somebody that won't go get a job. It's not cool, and a lot of times it's because of that building. All eyes on the building. All eyes on that building. All eyes on that land. All eyes on the building project. Not missionaries, the building. Not soul winning, the building. I don't know how many times, every church that I have gone to, I have showed up saying, let's go soul winning. Let's win the lost. Let's reach out and go soul winning. Let's hit the streets. Let's get out of the building. But most every pastor that I ran into, all they want to do is sit in that building and worship it. They don't realize it, but that's what's happening. So in the New Testament, they went house to house. When they needed a roof over their head, they went house to house. There was no building projects in the New Testament. And I'm looking at my notes right here. You know, a lot of times a lot of these churches that are into buildings and family ran businesses, you know, what they call revival, it's really not revival. I mean, and I've seen it all my life. Even the organization I was in. I remember one time we were having a revival. It was, to me, it was very much the best revival that I had known within that organization. And the evangelist, after 2 weeks, every night for 2 weeks, called the headquarters to see if he can get permission to extend it. I mean, the evangelist wanted to extend it. Everybody in the church wanted to extend it. That church went from 20 to 70, and then from 70 to 120, and everybody wanted to extend it, but the headquarters cut it off, stopped it. People were getting saved right and left. So you know, a lot of times revival is just not revival anymore. It's just not revival anymore.